could be the one. I could be the one to please you. Did you wanna settle down? Did you wanna come back? Did you wanna settle down? Did you wanna come back? Oh, I know that you've been right.
Hey guys, it's Black Girl Politics. It's Taja.
Wilhelmina.
So in our last segment, we basically spoke about the black community and black rappers and their responsibility to the community, or if they even have one. So in our next segment, we're going to be talking about essentially how we build ourselves up and the web of problems that we all have, and what can we do to help that. So we had our artists here, Flo and Curtis, talk about their
joining us
opinions.
again.
Yeah.
You know, welcome back.
What up?
Yeah. So we left off saying about it's basically we have to look inwards for us to see the change, correct? So that goes into rebuilding the black community, and as easy as it sounds, it's not easy, as we all know. So some of the problems that we have is whether it's violence, poverty, self-hate, or anything in between. It's like a multitude of problems, and one can't be fixed from fixing the other. They're like separate problems. So how do you guys feel about that?
I feel like the root of it is just breaking down our fears of ourselves and being around other people. Just because, like, you know, especially being a New Yorker, we walk down the street and we're always told, you know, look over your shoulder, make sure nothing's happening, and blah, blah, blah. And it's kind of like, if you think about it, if everybody has that mentality, then everybody's just afraid of everybody else, but just trying to get along. So it's kind of like when we acknowledge that there's not as much to be afraid of course, there are always crazy people. There's always something crazy happening. But is that what you're trying to attract? Is that what you really need it happening, you know? So I feel simple stuff like, you know, meditation, getting together with people that are positive, having a positive mindset, thinking positively, working with crystals, stuff like that, and just kind of having the courage to go into your community and say, like, you deserve better than this, just because there's so much happening in our communities, and sometimes we kind of just want to put a blind eye to it just because it's very painful, and we all deal with it in different ways. Like, I remember yesterday I was walking, and a woman got shot in the building right next to me, and it was just crazy. I was like, what the fuck, you know? Like, why does this need to be happening? And at the same time, it's like, how do we tell each other, like, yo, we don't need to be doing this, we don't need to be feeling this. So I feel like when we break down those barriers, we get even closer to having it heal, to having us be better and do better and manifest better for ourselves.
Could you just repeat that question one more time?
I can repeat the question, but I'm gonna like spin it a little bit based off of what Flo said. More so of like the individual responsibility, because I think that will help, but the black community as a whole is not individual, so we have to see that as a community, because if every person was just dealing with crystals and having positive vibes, I don't think that's going to much fix the community itself, because if you're in an environment where you have to sell crack so your mom doesn't get evicted out her apartment, and someone has death threats on your head and a price on your head, and you have to go to school, and so I'm a Buddhist. I love crystals and I love spirituality and positive people, but that's only relative to me. That's not relative to the multitude of problems we have in the black community, like poverty, black businesses.
It's more economic.
It's more economical.
The racial economic inequality. We gotta get to it, you know. It's like, cause I feel you with the whole. You gotta have a better mindset, and you gotta be more positive, and maybe you can manifest something through that. But you gotta understand that it's people that's purposely oppressing us. So it's no way you can have a positive mindset while somebody's just punching you in your face every day.
I feel like it's a balance, because the more we see ourselves as oppressed by other beings, the more intense it is. Like, personally, I don't feel like I'm oppressed. I know that there are definitely systems set up against me to make me, you know, not a rich person, or to make me feel like I don't have power. But the less energy I give to that, the more powerful I feel every day. Like,
but that doesn't bother you that somebody's trying to hold you back from what you rightfully could own?
I mean, it did bother me, but once I started to acknowledge that it doesn't have to, and that I, as myself, fixing myself and meeting up with people that are trying to fix themselves, it's kind of just, as you see it crumble, it's because we're getting stronger. It's because us as people are realizing little by little, like, we don't have to empower this, and it's kind of just like a game setup, you know?
But what if it's after that? Because it's all internal. You can't help anyone until you help yourself.
Exactly.
So let's say you're a happy person, and you're mentally free of these chains and shackles they have upon us. Because that happens. I feel free. I'm a vegan. I feel happy. I know what's going on. I know the law. I'm learning about myself, for myself. But it's the bigger picture we're talking about. Because after you're at peace with yourself and you see these problems, how do we attack those problems? Not our internal demons, because the community can't fix you. but you can help fix the community. I think
Exactly.
that's the question at hand, whether it's like I'm asking about like black-owned businesses or looking towards
That's what
other
I'm talking
communities who've been oppressed, like the Jews or the Muslims or the Japanese in certain times. It's about like seeing how they came together to build businesses on businesses where they're thriving even though they were oppressed. Why are we still in this same system? Why are we still here?
But I could give you something. With any community other than the black community, you could go in any bank and get a business loan. Within the black community, the only loan we're allowed to get is student tuition loans and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, you'll be in debt and you'll have to pay that back to them forever, your whole life.
So how are we gonna fix this?
I
mean,
think it's kind of
well-
hard to fix per se necessarily, because a lot of these things, like you previously stated, they're systems. So it starts really just breaking down these systems that have been set in place 300 years ago with the conception of America when we came, and they designed us to be slaves, whether that be physical, whether that be through economics, whether that be through where you live, what schools you get into, what jobs you
Mentally.
get mentally. It's
They
really
want us
such
to
a
be
hard thing
enslaved.
to sort of break that down. You know what I mean? So I think it does start with the individual, but how you give back on a full scale, because even in communities, black-owned businesses, where I live, it's a predominantly Muslim area. And there's two different Muslims. I live in Bed-Stuy. So you have the Arab Muslims and the ones that come from Yemen and all of those places. And then you have the black Muslims, the one that come from Africa, West Africa. And so sometimes, it's a pick and choose. The Arabs may be a little bit more expensive, but the black man, you're always giving back to your community in some way. Even I always get my stuff, my natural stuff, shea butter and coconut oil. Always get it
Nature's
from,
blessing.
I always try to support my community, whether that be the black Muslims, whether that be the dreads, the Rasta man from down the street,
Definitely.
whether that be the man on the corner
Bless
who's
up.
homeless and he can't afford anything to eat because he's been sitting at that corner because he's homeless because his Section 8 ran out. All of these things. And I see these things all of the time, and it's really, really hard when you live in a community like mine that's rapidly changing. New York is just rapidly changing, especially in my area. Gentrification hit it hard. So I just live specifically a bad block in a good neighborhood, honestly. You can never, people used to be scared to come to Bed-Stuy. Some people are still scared to come to Bed-Stuy. And I'm just like, they're selling organic avocados at the corner. What are you talking about,
fish
And the
fry
next
kinda
person, the person in the brownstone of the block from me is like some creative liberal who came here from Idaho, and like they're just trying to make a living off of a freelance as a writer,
Right.
So, I'm seeing all of these things, but at night when I walk home, I'm seeing the alcoholic down the block, and you see these person, it's like, damn, I have to worry about my food stamps coming in the morning. I have to worry about all of these things. I can't even live like a full diet because I'm working a minimum wage job. I'm not living bad for myself, but all of these things, it's like, how can you see all of these things every day? Like I said, someone just got shot after they just got shot on 4th of July, after they just had another shooting in December. You know what I mean? And so it's like, how does it stop? You know what I mean? It's just like, do you not be yourself? Do you be more of yourself? Do you speak out about it? What's the avenue? Everyone has their own different avenue out.
I think,
But like you said, it's
oh.
going to be generational.
Right.
It is generational.
It is generational.
Because progress is not quick. It's not instantaneous
It takes-
gratification.
And that's another
It
reason
takes
why
us-
I think people also get deterred sometimes, because they're not seeing immediate results. It's not happening so fast, when a lot of these things, like I previously stated, they've been set, it's grown over years, and now it's just like at its
If it took
explosion.
300 years
But
for us to
think
get
about
here,
it.
it's going to
I
take
feel
us.
It's
like-
gonna
But that's what
take
I'm saying.
another
Think about it.
hundreds of
It took 300
years.
years for us to get here, but look how far we come. So imagine how far we
Right.
going to
I
go.
feel-
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
I feel like honestly the way to go out through it is spirit, because if we look at it, every way that we've approached it is through race or economics or something like that. But the only thing that we all have in common is spirit. We're all living beings. We're all having this experience together.
But how do you tell that to the person, not
Who-
to
who's
attack you
that?
or anything?
That's why it's so
How do you
How
hard.
do you
the
tell
black
that to the
community?
person? How do you tell that to the person who's suppressing us? You
Yeah.
know, like
But the
like
thing is, we
Stokely
don't-
Carmichael said, in order for you to expect change, you have to like understand that the oppressor has a conscience. These people don't have consciences. These
Honest.
people don't care.
But
So
that's-
spirit, money, what?
Exactly, and
They're
that's
like
what
two
they've
complete
programmed us to
opposites.
stop believing in, and that's why we need to talk to each other on a basis where we're just people. We don't have to focus as much on the oppressor. When you focus on the oppressor, you're focused on being oppressed. That's my point. When you focus on people and how we can communicate people to people, that's how you make things happen. Because when you work on spirit, spirit knows that there is no limitation. Spirit knows that there is nothing that can stop you. So once you tap into that, you make things happen. Like You don't have to worry as much about food stamps because you're growing gardens together. You know the
Okay.
food that's going into your body. You're making things happen in terms of change. You're teaching the children that they do have power, that they know how to control themselves, that they know how to control their anger, that they can communicate properly. So it's just little things in the community. Once you start to teach each other and not focus as much on institutions that are telling us that our kids need to be unintelligent or that they can't go to good schools and shit like that, those are the moves I'm talking about. It's not just like,
I'm sorry. She made a good point of
Yeah.
teaching and knowledge. I think
Yeah.
I completely agree with you, but going into like if you're trying to tell this to a 26-year-old who lives in the middle of Texas about spirit, who was born a Christian, raised a Christian, and the only spirit she wants to know is Jesus, or if you talk to a Muslim who all, you know what I mean, people never want to hear what they thought their whole selves for their whole lives is wrong.
Right.
If you go up to a 30-year-old man and tell him the way he's been living and everything he knows and everything he is and is not is wrong, and no one wants to hear that about himself. That's a lot to take on for self.
So
No one wants it.
imagine a
it's-
racist.
Exactly. So imagine people who are racist who have this mindset for years of generations of what is and what isn't. So I think it's more of knowledge and unlearning and relearning. But
Completely.
the black community is just so divided that they're worried who's light skinned and who's dark skinned that they can't even see beyond those points, or like, oh, he left the hood and now he has money so he doesn't want to come back here. We're so worried about each other as competition that we can't even unite.
That's a
So we
fact.
should unite through spirit, but how do you break through that to even? We have to. It's like multiple walls and multiple
gotta
layers
break-
of our
but
One thing
either
we
way,
gotta
in
do-
any way, it's going to be like that, no matter what angle we look at it, you know?
Yeah, I'm
We
just
gotta
saying people
break through.
think that racism is like this one little off and on switch that's going to fix the whole black community. Like once we get rid of racism, we have to get rid of colorism, and then once we get rid of that, we have to get rid of poverty. Once we get rid of that, we have to get rid of drugs, and it's just
One thing we
our.
gotta get rid of is killing each other. That's the main thing that I'm scared
So you
of.
believe in black on black crime, even though like even if you're living in a white neighborhood, your perpetrator who's going to hurt you is going to be white. It's going to like where you
Hold on, say
live.
that
is
one more
that-
time.
If you live in a white community and you're outside and you're scared of getting mugged, the person who's really going to mug you, like statistically, and I hate when people say I don't believe in statistics, but if you live in a community of a certain race, the person who's going to hurt you or your perpetrator is going to be of that
predominant
race.
of the race.
If I'm in a black community, the person who's going to come after me and mug me is going to be a black person.
Yeah.
If I'm white in a white community, the person who's going to attack me is going to be a white person. That's why black on black crime is a myth. There's white on white crime. There's black on black. There's crime on
That's
crime.
why you would just say the person in poverty. That's what you would want to look at it more. Be like the poor of any kind. That's who's would probably be doing like a robbing or mugging. Like you said, the poor black person or whatever. That's why I would say we do it. I wouldn't put it in a black on black crime like you said.
What do you mean?
When you say it.
Poor people are not the only people who steal, mug, and do these things.
Oh, no.
Because
So if
that's
you-
not-
no,
I
so-
was
oh,
gonna
no.
say that
Yeah.
different
Okay.
people do
Okay.
different
Oh, yeah,
crimes
okay,
in
so
different
if
You know,
ways.
rich people are like kleptomaniacs. It doesn't matter where
So
you
what
are.
you trying to
Yeah.
so what you trying to say that there's
Black on
there's
black
no
crime is a
label.
myth.
Yeah, there's no label. Everybody does crime.
What I'm trying to say is that people use black on black crime to justify police brutality. Like, oh, you want police to stop
Nah.
killing you, but you can't stop
You
killing
can't
your
say
own
that.
people.
You can't say that because if you with police brutality, they getting off for these charges. None of them
Yeah.
going to jail.
No.
Everybody that's black who killing a black person getting 25 to life.
Yeah.
And that's the
So it
difference.
is not the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm
It is
saying.
totally different.
But black on black crime is like a myth because there's every crime on
Even
every
if
crime.
it is, it's still even if it's a real thing, it's justification being done. There's no justification
Mm-hmm.
being done on that side. So don't bring that up. Whoever bring that up is ignorant. Don't bring that up when you're bringing up them killing us.
So you're exactly. I mean, there's no justification for that. So
Yeah.
you're saying we have to heal ourselves before anyone can heal. Well, we're not looking for anyone to heal us. Like no one's gonna try to help the black
This
community.
is
But when you look at other communities, like the Jewish community or the Muslim community, you see what they've been through, and they've been through hard times too. Like it's like no one's knocking.
I
down.
hate to
Difference
bring
in
this up.
solidarity.
I hate to
Exactly.
bring this
But
up.
some
It
people-
is. I was going to say. I'm so sorry to cut you off, but I was just going to say that is it us having like a solid foundation to build off of because these
I'm
people
asking
have
a question.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I was going to say, well, I guess I responded early, but I guess these people have set things that they've been doing. The Jews, they're all like, I don't want to
Organized.
say all of them, but they're very organized. You know, the way that they're inclusive and keep to themselves and do their own
They
things.
keep it in the family.
They keep it
basically.
in the family. You know, a lot of these.
But we was taught to love
We
love
have
you
a-
and hate mine. So
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's what we
right.
was taught. So
Different
therefore,
foundation. Black
Yeah.
people did not have a foundation. We're like
We-
300 years
It was
behind.
I mean, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I feel like we need to stop thinking as much about it and just figure that we need to heal on it. Just because
Fix
if we
it.
keep bringing that up, it's going to be another 400 years. It's going to be another. We need to stop looking at the ways that we're oppressed and see the ways that we can come together.
Yeah.
Because
No,
it's empowering.
think you
Every
need to
time
do a
we
little bit
as
of
Black
both.
people
I
say
think-
we're oppressed or this is happening to us in a way that it's like sometimes we talk about it like it's going to be like that forever, and I feel like we forget that we can change it at any time. We can make it happen. It's like just the idea that we're strong. We're people who have dealt with centuries of oppression all over the fucking world. We're the most oppressed people. So it's like the fact that we're still here shows that we have the endurance to just go past all of it, you know?
Well, with all that being said, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have another episode speaking more in depth on this.
Definitely.
But I thank you guys so much for coming on the show. If you guys, the viewers, want to see more of this conversation or even want to hear us speak again, the same crew or anything in between,
I just want to say
let us
anything
know.
Let
before I
us-
go, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to say peace to all the gods and the earths. That's it. I enjoy it.
Exactly. So yeah, just comment, subscribe,
Comments,
let us
questions,
know.
concerns. We have our social media. We have our numbers. Anything you want to.
Hit us up, hit them up.
If you want to be on the show,
Just
say
let us
anything to
know.
Go ahead.
anyone. And thank you guys for tuning in to Black Girl Politics. Peace.
Peace.
You're